guest is a very special one. She is a true construction professional. In the short 3.5 year time of her new company, they were ranked in Philadelphia in this year, 2020, the fastest growing with a 3-year growth rate of 243%. They were ranked #1 by the Philadelphia Business Journal, and that's out of 76 different firms. Victoria Levesque, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm glad that you were willing to come on and share your story, because it's a very inspiring one that I think will really help a lot of people. Thank you again. And also, you're a Temple grad, correct?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
You see what shirt I wore?
I do. I like that. Yeah.
Go Owls, another fellow Owl.
Yeah.
So let's just go back to the beginning. I know Victoria from her husband. Her husband and I worked together at Hunter Roberts Construction Group. Probably officially met you, I guess, about a dozen years ago or so.
Yeah.
You started in construction pretty early, and your entire family, the McDonald family, are in construction. That's probably the reason why you are here today, I would guess, correct?
Yes, somewhat. I grew up in a construction-based family. My grandfather worked for L.F. Driscoll. He was an executive at that time. My father's in the industry. My uncles are in the industry. So grew up, just around the world. Loved it. Very interested in it. Probably the oldest child begging to go to take her daughter to work day every year, just because I loved being around it. I did my senior project in high school on construction management. Wanted that whole career path from
awesome.
a very young age. Yeah. And then senior year comes around, and I actually completely derailed on another path. I grew up in competitive dance, and wasn't ready to give it up. And that's actually how I ended up at Temple, because they had a dance program, where you could actually get a degree in dance. So I figured, well, I'll go there. I'll study business, I'll study dance, and go from there. So it's kind of interesting, because at that point I was changing, saying, well, I'm going to go open a dance studio someday. And I think it was more the ownership and managing something that I was interested in than the dancing itself. But I kind of was sidetracked it for a bit, landed myself at Temple, and then quickly kind of came back to the construction industry. So started off as a co-op at Driscoll, at their Top West Tower project, just really for a summer job to make some money, and couldn't leave. Got hooked. Forgot about dance, and the rest is history. I worked on the West Tower project for 2 years as a co-op, and then I moved into estimating, and that's where I landed my first full-time position. So.
No, awesome. And you're still a dance instructor, correct?
I was. I actually just stopped this year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's bittersweet. I was a teacher for 16 years after after high school, and I have kids that go a million different directions in these days now, and couldn't keep up. So.
No, understood. And now you have a growing, thriving business. So. Yeah, it's priorities, and I get it.
Yeah.
For all your Eagles fans out there, she was also a Eagles cheerleader, and that had to have been a really neat experience. You want to talk about that a little bit, and just the process of how that went with you getting accepted to be a cheerleader, and that was what, 2 or 3 years, was it?
3 seasons.
3 seasons. Okay.
06 through 08. Again, that was back during my my college years and early career years at Driscoll, and really that went back to Temple again. I was on campus, and I had friends in the dance program trying out for Temple's dance team, and I went to the audition and I had a friend sit next to me and she was whispering in my ear saying, if you do the Eagles, they pay you. And the Temple dance team practiced at 6 a.m. and the Eagles practiced at 7 p.m. And I liked that better. So I left the audition and went and decided to try the Eagles out instead. So I've always been a football fan. We're a big sports family, and it just seemed like I was living in the city. It'd be really fun to do. So, and it was. It was a big commitment. You meet all sorts of people, and you outreach to fans, and it was a great experience.
Oh, I'm sure it was. And what was that? Just that the interviewing process, or the whatever you call it, to get to go through. I mean, there had to be how many? I don't even know how many girls probably tried out. The process of elimination, like how was that? How was that experience?
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah, stressful.
And the open call that is at the link. So I can't tell you how many girls are there. Hundreds every year. And so the first day they go through a couple rounds of cuts, and if you make it through that, you're feeling pretty good. But you have, I think it's semifinals where they do another cut down to about 80 girls, and then the final auditions, it's about a month process. You go through interviews with the Eagles staff, and then the final audition is very pageant like. There's a question and answer portion, there's a fitness portion, and then a dance performance portion.
Got it. And does that like go to the second and third year too? Is this the same process since you still got to go through it again? Got it.
It's a 1-year contract, and then you're thrown right back in the mix. Yeah.
Wow. That had to have been an awesome experience. And then you were actually at Driscoll at the time, and you were an estimator there for about 8 years, correct?
Yeah.
And did you ever think about going in the field as a project manager? Did you just remain as an estimator the whole time, or?
I remained in estimating.
Okay.
So back then, Driscoll didn't really have that whole, rotating program like most of the companies do now with their new hires. I did start 2 years in the field as a clerk. So I kind of got a little bit of experience out there, but I'm a numbers person. I'm a spreadsheet person, and estimating, I just absolutely love estimating. So there's not many people that do, but I do. So once I was there, I was so upset. I wasn't going anywhere. So.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And your husband's the same way. He's an estimator as well.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And we're very competitive.
I love it. And then what made you leave Driscoll to go to, what is it, RWW, Reflection Window and Wall? You were director of pre-construction. Was it just a good opportunity? That was why you made the leap?
Little bit of everything.
Okay.
Going back to that, dance school dream, I wasn't in pre-con and purchasing at Driscoll. I sat across the table from subcontractors every single day, in D-scopes and hiring them.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know exactly what that meant
Right.
or how I was going to get there, but I knew I wanted more. I knew that was not the end of, my story.
Yeah.
So, you don't always know how it's going to happen, but I got very lucky. I came back after maternity leave with my son, and, if you're in the industry, and so my husband's obviously in the industry, it's very hard for both of us to be running those hours all the time. So something had to give, and this company is a Chicago-based company that was gaining some legs in Philadelphia at the time. They needed someone local, and it kind of worked out. They gave me the opportunity to work from home, travel once a month, and I took it. They needed an estimator at that time, and then about 7 months later, their director retired. So I took over the position, which was great. I loved the facades. I was still doing estimating. I was still selling work. It was, but at the same time, as a GC, a little bit of everything. We're moving into the subcontracting world. I was becoming an expert in one thing, and I really liked that. I thrived off that a bit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, running a department in Philadelphia that's based in Chicago, I mean, doesn't really work. Now, maybe in today's world
Challenging.
where
Yeah.
everything, virtual, it would be a little bit different. But when I started with them, they were doing about 25 million a year, mainly in Chicago and Philadelphia and a little bit in New York. And when I left, they were upwards of 100 to 120 million a year all over the country. So my once a week travel was becoming a month travel was becoming weekly. You go back to the kids, and it just wasn't working again. So
understood. Understood. And just, you touched on it a little bit. One of the questions I want to ask you too. I mean, you being in pre-con, being in the general contracting world, you know a little bit of everything. What made you, I guess, like the glazing world, the curtain wall systems? What got you? Was it just the opportunity, or did you already have an interest in that world?
A little bit of both. There are times at Driscoll where they start to diversify us a little bit. Where there was someone that was always doing MEP and someone that was doing finishes, and I did tend to work on facades a lot at Driscoll, so I was a little bit more familiar than some of the other trades. But no, it was more opportunity based than picking the division. Yeah. Got it.
And then those 3 years, you like you said, you really became, a professional in that world. You learned that subcontracting world a little bit more in detail. And what made you go out and start your own business? In 2017, you started MEG Glass, and you're a WBA, which is awesome. I'd like you to talk a little bit about that process, why you decided to make the leap, and also the WBE portion. Was that something that you kind of set up early on? Because I know that takes time, and I'd like to just hear about that process as well.
So again, I was very fortunate for my career at Reflection. It was a great experience, but they were growing, which was great for them, but it was hard for me. So I was already starting to look at what was coming next, what I needed to do something, and I wasn't sure what it needed to be. And I didn't even know if there was a way to do it within their company. I still have a great relationship with them, and I still do business with them today. So it was a little bit of just figuring out what can I do in Philly, and my relationship with my partner, who was our installer in Philadelphia. That's kind of where this whole idea came to place. They were mainly installing windows, and they had done, full contracts in the past, furnish and install, mainly before the downturn in 08, 09. They wanted to get back into it, so it was kind of like a perfect fit. I had the pre-con and the sales, and I had a lot of connections at local GCs, and they just bring forth years and years of experience in the field, and and with the systems themselves, and with supplier relationships and stuff. So it was just a great fit to try to come together.
And that is is that Peter Herring and Jeffrey Herring? Is that who you're referring to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I assume they're brothers.
Yeah.
That's a safe assumption, I would think. And then on the WBE end, like, what was that process like, and how did that come about?
Well, we thought about it from the beginning, but like you said, it's a long process. So what I did is I just tried to set up the business that way from the beginning, as far as knowing what the documentation would be. I researched it, and just kind of got everything I needed. And it took me, I didn't apply, I want to say it was almost a year and a half in before I went to apply. But I did plan on it from the beginning.
And how long did it take once you applied? Because I'm hearing it, in certain MB, WB situations, it can take a long time.
Months. Yeah. I think I put my application in December, and I got my certification in June.
Okay.
So there's a lot of back and forth with the application itself. There's, I don't know, 26, 27 different documents. And then once that, you go through a couple rounds of panel review. You go through a a phone review,
Mhm.
and then finally a site visit where they come out and, just speak to you about your business, see your office, and, your daily operating. And then after that, they make their final decision.
Okay. So you had your
Yeah.
certification for how long now? About a year?
2 years this
Two,
past year.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. And back to, I forgot to mention, back to Temple, was the dance team Diamond Gems? Was that the
It
dance
was.
team?
I never danced for them, but yeah.
Oh, you never did? Okay.
No.
Because when I was there, I think that's when they first started it. They started it when I was
Oh, okay.
going there. Yeah.
Okay. That's funny.
Now, where do you see your company going in the next 5 years? What would you like to see?
I'd like to see, right now we're still doing a lot of installation work for Reflection, which is great. I'm starting to, procure and bid some larger jobs on our own. I'd like to see the company kind of divide there into two different arms almost. We have our installation arm, which is very strong, and then also go down this other path with some supply and install. I'd really like to get into fabricating material.
Nice.
We're looking at moving right now. Well, kind of hard. The real estate market is crazy.
Yeah.
Once it calms down a little bit, looking into moving into a larger shop where we can really do some fabrication as well.
Okay.
So that's where I see ourselves moving. I'd like to be around that, 6 to 10 million a year range.
Okay.
If it's more, it's great. If it's not, but I'm not looking to grow exponentially as far as, office employees go, but we'd like to pick up some key positions within the next 2 years and hopefully continue to grow to just support that workload.
Gotcha. What volume are you at currently this year in 2020?
This year through November, we're at about 7 million in
That's
revenue.
great. Yeah.
7.2.
In 3 years. Congrats. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
No, great work. And outside of work, what are you passionate about? Obviously, you talked about your kids and dance, which may now be through your kids, right?
No, I wish, but no.
Oh, no. Okay.
No. We love to travel. We love being outside. So I would say right now, currently in our lives, that's probably the most important. We do a lot of bike rides, a lot of hiking. Before COVID, we did a lot of traveling. Most people joke around, how much I'm out of the office, but really not as much as I wish. But yeah, I love going places and experiencing them with my children. It's just so much fun.
Where have you hiked at? Like, what was your favorite hiking location? Because I'm just starting to get into the hiking scene.
Okay. Well, big one we did this year was the Tetons in Wyoming. But locally, we do a lot. I'm trying to think. What did we just do? The Hawk Mountain.
Okay.
Have you been there?
I have
not.
That
was beautiful.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We just went up. We stayed in Northeast. We went up to New Hampshire. But,
okay.
My business partner and but we're starting to really look at some, out west and Seattle and Utah and, just definitely want to get into it. It was a lot of fun. Just to get away and talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Out in Washington, we did Columbia River a couple of years ago, just Kyle and I, and that was an awesome hike as well. A little scary, a lot of rattlesnakes, but it was cool.
You getting your kids into it? The hiking? Yeah.
They did the Tetons with us this year. They averaged, I think it was like over 26,000 steps one day. So
that's awesome.
Pretty well. Yeah.
That is great. So if you were to give advice to someone that is, contemplating what they want to do, go to college, not go to college, maybe have some interest in construction, what would be your advice to someone that's on the fence, and just to talk about the construction industry and what it had. Obviously, you've talked about what it has done for you, but what would be your advice to really have them start and find out if construction is for them?
I'll talk about the contracting side in a minute, but I'd really like to talk about the trades themselves.
Yeah.
Just getting involved, but I really, really would like to get more involved in helping just that process. I think there's a lot of adolescents today that, there's a lot of pressure to go to college.
Yes.
But there's the labor force. It is a very rewarding career.
Yeah.
That we have an amazing group of guys on our staff, and they're very talented. They're very knowledgeable, and I believe it's a very rewarding job. You see what you do every day. And I think it's kind of dying off that there's not enough kids are even knowing that it's still an option. And a lot of the trade schools today, you come out with your associate's degree, so you are still getting somewhat of an education.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of value there that's being lost.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And this is what this podcast is really all about. And I appreciate, it was well said. And anything that you can share to help kids, I just want to open people's eyes to the trades world, to the construction world, and how rewarding it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a great career. I mean, especially in the unions, they still get, great packages with benefits and, and their pensions. And I think they get a lot of camaraderie between each other. And it's just, I wish there were more.
Yeah.
I really do. And a lot of our skilled, labor, they're getting older. We really don't have that many young guys coming in, and
yep,
we need them.
and that's just because of the push. The college is the only route. And I think because of the expense of college, it's got to change. And I think the stigma towards the trades are slowly changing. And I want to let people know that, how well these guys can, how well they can do. It's good money, and the overtime opportunities, it can be an exceptional amount of money. Yeah. With the overtime opportunities. But how about on the contracting side? Would you want to share on that end?
Again, I think it's a great industry. As far as what's going on right now with the pandemic, I always sell, and I've been selling this for years, that construction is never going to go anywhere. I put it right up there with doctors and nurses and teachers, that if you're pursuing a career in construction, you'll most likely always have a job, one way or another. I always sell pre-con because, again, we're the last to go, because we need to go out and find the work. I love it because it's always changing. It's not stagnant at all. There's always a new project. There's always a new challenge. There's always a new type of solution. Yes. And
always learning.
It's challenging. Yeah. It's very exhausting. It's hard, but it's very rewarding as well. And you can do very well. I mean, you can, just look at myself. I backdoored in, to where I am today, but you can really create your own destiny if you want to. Yeah. But it is a hardworking career as well. You can't sit back every day and, do some paperwork on your computer and think you're going to succeed. So.
I mean, anything good is work, right?
Yeah, true.
Anything in life that is good is work.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. And I know we were kind of playing a little email tag and trying to set this up, with your busy schedule. And actually, do you want to talk about a little bit how COVID-19 has impacted you guys? I know you're going through some things now that I think would be an interesting share.
Yeah, I would say in the beginning, just like everybody, we had about a 4 to 6 week slowdown depending on the project. So we had that initial kind of stoppage. We were fortunate that we were in the middle of a bunch of projects. So as soon as we got the green light, we were able to go back to work. I'd say our crews have been phenomenal at just adjusting to the protocols, and you know, it's difficult. You know, sometimes they were changing daily, or you know, or weekly, or you know, one job they had to wear full hazmat suits, and you know, as hard and difficult as it was, they adapted very well. So through the summer, we were really fine. Right now, unfortunately, we do have 14 in quarantine. I'm hoping that we're going to get out of that with, you know, very little, you know, hardship as far as, you know, the sicknesses go. And hopefully we're back to work soon. But we're trying not to cut any corners. You know, if they're sick or they need to quarantine, I want them to do so. I want everyone to be safe. I want everyone to be healthy. And I want everyone to, you know, be able to enjoy the holidays coming up with their family. So we're going to do what we need to do, and, you know, we'll fill the gaps as we can. And I think we're just like everybody else. Everyone's having their own hardships. I'm hopeful that we're not going to see a slowdown coming up on the contracting side, but that, you know, I'm not really sure where that's going to go yet. So
fingers crossed. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Social media wise, what are you most active on? If someone wants to get a hold of you, or I know you're on LinkedIn.
I'm awful. I'm trying really hard to learn, but I'm terrible at social media. We do have an Instagram account, which I do try to post when I can on there. And I'm sort of active on LinkedIn. I need to be more, but as far as social media that goes, that's about it.
I hope to get you more active.
Yeah, I need a coach.
And if you want to share your website address and just any contact information about your company.
Sure. Website is MEG-Glass-Inc.com. All our contact information is really on there. You can find me on LinkedIn, on my personal page. We do have a company page, but if there's anything up there, I have no idea who put it up, because I haven't done anything with it really. Email is victoria@megglassinc.com. And that's basically it. Excellent.
I really, really appreciate you coming on. And it was an honor to have you on, and say hello to all my old Hunter Roberts Driscoll friends, if you're talking to any of them.
Sure.
Kyle has been to both as well.
Yep.
And again, thank you very much, and appreciate you taking the time, and hope to catch up again soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of the week.